I've always been fascinated by stories that change the course of history, stories that leave an indelible mark on society. And this one? It's a doozy. It's a complex narrative filled with ambition, innovation, and ultimately devastating consequences. It's a story that demands to be told, examined, and understood in all its intricate layers. We're about to dive into a tale that shaped modern America in ways we're still grappling with. It's a story that touches upon healthcare, ethics, and the very fabric of our communities. We'll explore the decisions, the strategies, and the ripple effects that have led us to where we are today. It's the story of how one family, the Sacklers, ignited a crisis that's claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. A crisis that continues to impact families and communities across the nation, leaving behind a trail of grief and devastation. We'll delve into the human cost of this tragedy, giving voice to those who have been directly affected. This isn't just about pills or profits. It's about power, deception, and the blurred lines between business and morality. It's a cautionary tale about the pursuit of wealth and influence, and the potential for even the most well-intentioned endeavors to go astray. We'll uncover the strategies employed, the decisions made, and the ethical compromises that paved the way for this crisis. Ready? Let's go. Let's rewind to the 1950s. Three brothers, Arthur, Mortimer, and Raymond Sackler, are making waves in the medical advertising world. These weren't just ordinary marketers. They were pioneers, innovators who understood the power of persuasion and its potential to shape the medical landscape. They're not just good at what they do. They're revolutionizing how drugs are marketed to doctors. They understood the psychology behind medical decision-making and used that knowledge to craft compelling campaigns that resonated with physicians. Their techniques were groundbreaking, setting a new standard for pharmaceutical promotion. Fast forward a few decades, and they've turned a small pharmaceutical company called Purdue Pharma into a powerhouse. Through strategic acquisitions, innovative marketing, and a relentless pursuit of growth, they transformed a relatively unknown entity into a major player in the pharmaceutical industry. You see, the Sacklers weren't just businessmen. They became known as philanthropists, their name gracing the walls of prestigious museums and universities. Their contributions to the arts and sciences earned them widespread acclaim and cemented their legacy as pillars of society. But beneath the surface of philanthropy lay a more complex and troubling reality. All right, picture this. It's 1995, and Purdue Pharma introduces OxyContin. It's marketed as a breakthrough in pain management, a powerful opioid that's supposedly safer and less addictive than other painkillers. The secret? A patented time-release formula. Doctors are told they can prescribe it for all sorts of pain, from backaches to cancer. And prescribed they did. OxyContin sales skyrocket, hitting $1 billion annually by 2000. It's not just a success. It's a phenomenon. They send out armies of sales reps, armed with branded swag and misleading data. They tell doctors that the risk of addiction is less than 1%. They even have a program where doctors can sign up patients for a free 30-day trial of OxyContin. As OxyContin floods the market, red flags start popping up everywhere. Reports of addiction and abuse begin trickling in, then pouring in. Some crush the pills to bypass the time-release mechanism, getting a heroin-like high. Emergency rooms see a spike in overdoses, and this is where it gets really messed up. Purdue Pharma? They double down. When confronted with evidence of abuse, they blame the users, not the drug. Internal documents later reveal that they knew about the abuse potential early on, but chose to ignore it. By the early 2000s, it's clear we're dealing with more than just a few cases of abuse. We're looking at a full-blown epidemic. Communities across America, especially in Appalachia and the Rust Belt, are being ravaged. Addiction rates soar. Overdose deaths multiply year after year. The opioid crisis, a silent epidemic for years, was about to be thrust into the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The carefully constructed walls of secrecy, built by Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, were beginning to show cracks. But you can't keep a crisis this big under wraps forever. The truth, like water, always finds a way to seep through. By the mid-2000s, a growing number of individuals began to question the narrative surrounding OxyContin. Journalists, driven by a sense of duty and a thirst for truth, started digging deeper, meticulously piecing together fragments of information. Prosecutors, armed with subpoenas and the power of the law, launched investigations, determined to hold those responsible accountable. And even some insiders, burdened by guilt or driven by conscience, began to leak information, whispering secrets into the ears of reporters and investigators. They uncover a web of deception, a tangled mess of lies and half-truths. From misleading marketing materials that downplayed the risks of addiction, to suppressed research on addiction risks that could have saved countless lives, the evidence of wrongdoing was mounting. The dam starts to break. The trickle of information becomes a flood. Major news outlets, emboldened by the mounting evidence, run exposés detailing the devastating impact of OxyContin on communities across the nation. Congressional hearings are held, with lawmakers grilling Purdue executives and demanding answers. State attorneys general representing the interests of their citizens start filing lawsuits, seeking to recover the costs of the opioid crisis and hold Purdue Pharma accountable for its actions. The Sackler family and Purdue Pharma find themselves under a spotlight they can't escape. The relentless scrutiny of the media, the public, and the legal system begins to take its toll. Their carefully crafted image as philanthropists and medical innovators, painstakingly built over decades, begins to crumble, revealing the darker truth beneath. The public, once admiring, now views them with suspicion and anger. As the 2010s roll on, the legal challenges mount, growing in both number and intensity. Purdue faces thousands of lawsuits from individuals who have lost loved ones to addiction, from cities and counties struggling to cope with the opioid crisis, and from states seeking to recoup the billions of dollars spent on treatment and prevention. The sheer scale of the litigation threatens to overwhelm the company. In 2019, facing billions in potential damages and the prospect of endless legal battles, Purdue Pharma declares bankruptcy. It's a calculated move, a desperate attempt to shield the company, and, more importantly, the Sackler family's vast fortune from further lawsuits and potential financial ruin. But the bankruptcy filing is not the end of the story. It's merely a new chapter in the ongoing saga of the opioid crisis. So where does this leave us, as a society grappling with the aftermath? The opioid crisis continues to cast a long shadow, though now we're fighting it with open eyes, armed with a greater understanding of its complexities and devastating consequences. We've learned hard lessons about the vulnerabilities within our healthcare system and the potential for corporate greed to inflict widespread harm. New regulations on opioid prescriptions are in place, designed to curb overprescription and prevent the initial stages of addiction. These measures represent a crucial step forward, but they are just one piece of a much larger puzzle. There's increased scrutiny on pharmaceutical marketing practices, a direct response to the deceptive tactics that fueled the crisis. The days of aggressive promotion and downplaying the risks are hopefully behind us. But the deeper questions remain, the ones that challenge the very foundations of our economic and regulatory systems. How do we hold corporations accountable, not just with fines, but with meaningful consequences for public health crises they create or exacerbate? How do we ensure that profit motives never again outweigh the well-being of individuals and communities? What systemic changes are needed to prevent future tragedies of this magnitude? The Sackler saga, with its intricate web of legal battles and public outcry, has fundamentally changed how we view big pharma and government oversight. It's a stark reminder of the critical need for transparency in all aspects of the pharmaceutical industry, from research and development to marketing and distribution. Ethical business practices must be more than just a slogan. They must be deeply ingrained in the corporate culture. And robust regulation, enforced with unwavering diligence, is essential to protect the public from harm. We need watchdogs with teeth, capable of holding powerful entities accountable. This story isn't just about one family, the Sacklers, or one drug, OxyContin. It's about a much broader societal issue. How silence, indifference, and complacency can create an environment where catastrophe can flourish. It's about the importance of speaking truth to power, of challenging the status quo, and of demanding accountability from those in positions of authority. It's a call to action for each of us to be vigilant, to be informed, and to be actively involved in shaping a healthier and more just world. As we close this chapter of history, a chapter marked by immense suffering and profound loss, let's remember the human cost of this crisis. Let's remember the individuals, the families, and the communities that have been shattered by addiction. And let's commit to ensuring that their stories are never forgotten. Our health, our communities, and our lives are far too precious to be sacrificed on the altar of profit, greed, or indifference. We must prioritize well-being over wealth, compassion over complacency, and justice over expediency. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop questioning the systems that shape our world. Demand transparency, advocate for change, and hold those in power accountable. Because in the end, that's how we make change happen. Not through passive observation, but through active participation and unwavering commitment to a better future for all.